WCC This week. Got a great game for you to tip off our season. Loyola Marymount comes calling to McKean Pavilion to play the hometown St. Mary's Gales. And hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. A pleasure to be reunited with my longtime partner, Dan Belluomini. And Dan, great game to kick off this season for us here at Time Warner Cable SportsNet.
Well, I think a terrific game. And don't forget, these two teams played a magnificent game here last year where Loyola really gave St. Mary's their only loss of the year. So I think it's a terrific game to start for Time Warner Cable, and looking forward to it.
All right, and joining us right now is the commissioner of the West Coast Conference, Jamie Zaninovich. And Jamie, it's a big day for all of us here, and glad to be a part of the family.
Well, it's great to be here. This is a really exciting day for the conference. Thanks to Time Warner Cable SportsNet as well as Root Sports and Comcast, our other regional partners. We're able to offer the first of 9 games of the week that will go to 20 million people throughout the west of the United States. So it's a great day for us.
Well, you know, there was a time that I think you could say that the West Coast Conference may be the best conference nobody ever heard of, but when you look at some of these headlines, that cannot be said any longer. Gonzaga now ranked number 10, and I have an idea they're going to get better than that. St. Mary's, of course, won the conference last year. We're going to see them in their second conference game this year here today. And Santa Clara, what a nice turnaround for them. A lot of things to brag about in this conference.
Well, not only those 3 teams, but BYU obviously playing very well right now, and I think a lot of depth for us this year. So, you know, you get in a conference, especially on the road, it's a grind, but judging by the non-conference schedule in the first week, we're going to have very, very competitive games.
Yeah, Jamie, what does it mean to the conference? Obviously, it's good to have multiple teams now considered for the NCAA tournament. There was a time where, you know, one team and that was it, but not any longer.
Well, I think if you're going to be a nationally, acclaimed conference, you want to have depth, and that's important for us. So we do need to have schools that are in the conversation nationally and in the conversation for at-large bids of the NCAA, and we think we have that.
And there's a lot of depth in the conference now. We've been talking about it. Next year, it's going to get even tougher because you're bringing in Pacific.
Well, University of Pacific has a storied tradition in the West Coast Conference. They were a former member for years and years and years. We're happy to welcome them back, and they have a great basketball history. In the last decade, they've been in the NCAA tournament twice, and in both those times, they beat Big East teams. So that's what we're looking for, at-large quality basketball programs.
And the marquee players in the conference, certainly we have them here in the West Coast Conference, and we're going to see him here today with Dellavedova, who's a terrific player, and Anthony Ireland. I mean, 2 great guards.
So I think one of the storylines for us this year is the point guard play in this conference, whether it's Kevin Pangos up at Gonzaga, Matt Carlino, BYU, or right here today, you mentioned it, Ireland, Dellavedova. This is a marquee matchup for us.
Yeah, it's just terrific. Jamie, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us. We'll be with you more, of course, during the course of this season. Thanks.
It's great to be here, and it's great to have our 2 friends, Dan and Barry, started off for us.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. That's Jamie Zaninovich. He, of course, the commissioner of the West Coast Conference. Dan, you talk about the 2 marquee guys we're going to be watching today, and they're really, either one of them could put on a show at any given moment.
Well, don't forget, Dellavedova is the reigning West Coast Conference Player of the Year. And Barry, he causes you problems off that screen and roll. He's a magnificent shooter. And on the other side, I mean, here's a guy, he's only about 5'10", Anthony Ireland. Every time I've seen him, he's put up 30. So, I mean, he's tough to handle. You know, those guys that are tough to guard are people that you have to reckon with. And you look at the numbers, look at them side by side. And you talk about the marquee guards in the conference. We've got 2 of the best this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a great matchup, 2 great players. And, oh, by the way, Loyola beat St. Mary's here last year. St. Mary's only home loss. We always talk about the fact that this is a coaches' conference as much as it is a players' conference. None better than a coach here at St. Mary's, Randy Bennett. And my partner, Dan Belluomini, caught up with him just a few minutes ago.
Well, I don't think we're peaking yet. I think we're getting better. We made a big improvement from end of November to the end of December. I think we have some key pieces that are new. James Walker's new, and he's played really well, but he's still learning some things defensively. And I think Matt Hodgson's still coming. Brad Waldo's role has changed a little. He's got to grow up into a guy that's like a top 3 or 4 scorer for us. So I think we're growing in our new roles. Obviously, a guy like Matt Dellavedova already knows his role, and he's trying to do it to maybe a higher level. But the increment of improvement there is not going to be as much. But some of those other guys, I think, can really improve in all areas. But I think the area that we're still coming the fastest in is defensively. Guys are learning our system and trying to be able to do it on a more consistent basis.
Well, I'm going to give you a trivia question here and I know you'll know the answer. But this is in regard to the strength of the conference. There's only been 5 teams that have won 25 or more games in each of the last 5 years, Randy. And if you ask somebody around the country that 3 of those teams are in the same conference, I don't think they'd come up with the West Coast Conference yet. It's St. Mary's, it's BYU, and of course, Gonzaga. So, boy, this conference has made huge jumps, hasn't it?
It really has, and you talk about those 3 teams, but the middle of the conference and the bottom of the conference is what has been the biggest improvement to me. We usually had a team or maybe 2 that struggled with 6, 7, 8 wins, something like that. We don't have one of those this year, and those middle teams are now 100 RPI teams or 100 to 120. So it's I think the higher that top is, the higher everything else gets in the middle and at the bottom, because everybody's trying to keep up.
And speaking a little bit further to what Randy Bennett was talking about, that really relates to you better win at home.
Well, as Max Good said, look, every time you lose a home game, you've got to win 2 on the road. So, and he should know they were 7-1 on the road last year, and they could not do it at home. So really critical, the whole serve.
Well, they went back to BYU. They got clobbered on Thursday night. They lost by 40. But you know what? Max Good's teams always have had a lot of bounce back.
Well, they have, Barry, and I think he has to really have a great start. I don't think there's any question about it. If Loyola's going to stay with St. Mary's here in Moraga, they've got to come out shooting the ball, play some defense, and handle Dellavedova on that screen and roll.
Yeah, I think it should be a heck of a basketball game. Well, when WCC This Week returns, we'll get you to the studio. Chris McGee, Dave Miller, a couple of old friends. They'll get you caught up on all the action from the start of conference play. We're coming back.
Welcome back to WCC This Week in Los Angeles. I'm Chris McGee alongside the coach, Dave Miller. Let's get you to the conference highlights from earlier this week. We start with Gonzaga at Pepperdine, 10th-ranked Bulldogs in Malibu. Look who's in attendance. Former Zags, Rony Turiaf of the Clippers, Robert Sacre of the Lakers. Early on, Pepperdine moving the ball well. Hit the cutter. There he is, Lauren Jackson. Easy layup, waves up 6. Later in the first half, Gonzaga climbing back in, coach. John Stockton's son, David.
Well, David has great genes. He pushes it in transition with the floater. Zags go up 4.
Second half, Pepperdine down just 1. Stacey Davis taking it hard to the hoop. Gets the layup. Can it be the upset? Couple of possessions later, Kevin Pangos, he's going to find Kelly Olynyk, sealing his man, gets the layup plus the foul.
Gonzaga bigs, well schooled. You see the seal, the release, and the finish. Zags up 5.
Gonzaga again in transition. This time, Pangos passes ahead to Drew Barham. He's going to nail the deep 3. Zags go up by 7. 3:30 left in the game. Breaking the full court press. Zags getting it going with ease. Kelly Olynyk with the easy 2. Bulldogs win. Ways could have used Dana Jones. He's not walking through that door. Final score 78-62. BYU's Dave Rose getting ready for conference play. Ashley Hamilton, Loyola Marymount. He hits the 3. LMU up by 6. First half, BYU getting back in it. Matt Carlino, he can shoot the basketball. And he's going to do it right here. BYU up by 1. Never trailed after this. Second half, they're up 20. Tyler Hawes, look at this street ball move. Or is it a travel or double dribble? I'm not sure. Drives in for the layup. BYU up 22. Second half, coach, and they're rolling now.
Well, Davies feels the pressure topside, spins baseline with the reverse layup. BYU up 32.
Time ticking away in the game. Anson Winder the steal. The dunk. BYU gets the win, 92-51. University of San Diego, Toreros 6-1 at home, taking on the Portland Pilots. Less than 3 minutes left in regulation. Toreros up 3. Christopher Anderson finds Johnny D at the other end, who makes the layup, the whistle, and the and 1. He would make the free throw. Toreros go up 6. Same score. Later on, coach, Johnny D comes away with the loose ball, and here they are in transition. Ken Ransford with the layup.
Well, all guards push it until they're stopped. Perfect pass. Nice finish using the backboard.
Minute 30 left in regulation. Toreros up 6. Christopher Anderson. Couple of dribbles. Pull up for the 3. San Diego goes on to win 61-50. The Toreros rolling at home. Santa Clara hosting USF. Kerry King's Broncos winless in WCC play last season, but they missed Kevin Foster for 12 games. Here he is hitting 3 after 3 after 3. 5 of 11 in the game for 21 points. He has more threes than Steve Nash, a school record. Second on the all-time WCC list. Santa Clara on a 25-5 run. Brandon Clarkson get it back from Evan Rockamore for the nifty layup.
Like the dribble handoff, and when you see the dribble penetration, it draws in the defense. Clark sees the seam, finishes on the baseline with the bank.
San Francisco not going away. Off the turnover. Cody Doolin takes it the other way. Good use of his body to get the layup. USF is down just 6. Under 4 minutes to go. Santa Clara's offense going cold. Another turnover by the Broncos. Here it is. That's by Yannick Atonga, the turnover. Doolin's going in for the layup, but here comes Atonga. Look at that hustle, coach. Let's take another look at it.
That's never given up on the play. That's the effort you need when you play in the WCC.
Under a minute to go. Santa Clara with the ball. Rushing to beat the buzzer, no. Mark Trasolini is there with the putback. He has 14 and 10. Look at this, coach.
Collects himself, finishes it, never takes his chin off the rim.
Santa Clara ends a 17-game losing streak in conference play, 74-69. Here's what the conference standings look like. Gonzaga, Santa Clara, BYU, and San Diego all open with the wins. Check that out, coach. Double-digit wins, all 4 teams as they head into conference play. They had 4 teams last year getting in the tournament. Can they do it again? I'm talking about LMU getting in that other tournament. The NCAA tournament had 3 teams. If you count LMU getting in the other conference tournament, that's 4.
Yeah, I certainly think they can. I mean, when you think of this team, you think of Gonzaga, you think of St. Mary's, now with the addition of BYU. But it's Santa Clara right now that has really impressed me. They've got those trio of 1,000-point scorers in Foster, Rockamore, and Trasolini. I like what Kerry Keating is doing. Off to a great start.
WCC teams went 81-44 non-conference games. That's a .648 winning percentage. Earlier this week, Gonzaga won a top 25 game on the road, beating Oklahoma State.
Well, I think it was big in a hostile environment. Kevin Pangos ran the pick and roll to perfection, creating for himself, finding his favorite target, Gary Bell. But when you look at the whole scheme, last week was not only huge for the Zags, it was huge for the WCC with the 2 Big 12 wins. Home, they beat Baylor, and then they go on the road and they beat number 22 Oklahoma State. I think that sent a message to the NCAA.
And how much do you like Elias Harris?
Well, I think he's just a skilled big from Germany that can really put the ball on the floor. To me, he's an inside-outside threat. He's increased his range. He works inside. He goes after loose balls. Really has a nose for it. Here off the penetration, it's a nice little face-up jump shot. He really adds to that balanced attack that Gonzaga has. Great guards, great bigs, really good player.
All right, Coach, we look at the WCC Game of the Week, Loyola Marymount and St. Mary's. Who do you like from LMU?
Well, I think you've got to talk about Anthony Ireland and watching him play. He plays hard, he plays smart. He reminds me a lot of a poor man's Jameer Nelson.
What about for St. Mary's? Of course, there's Matthew Dellavedova.
Well, that's the head of the snake when you play St. Mary's. If you want to get out of a win on the road at St. Mary's, you're going to have to get the ball out of his hands. He runs the pick and roll to perfection, so you may have to trap him, you may have to blitz him, make him give the ball up. Don't let him get it back if you want to increase your chances for that road win.
All right, that's it for me and Coach. We'll get you back to Moraga right after this.
We welcome you back to WCC This Week. Each week on this show, we're going to take you behind the scenes of the West Coast Conference and provide an in-depth look into one of the programs. This week, 2 members of the St. Mary's Gales team gave us a tour of this great campus here in Moraga, California.
Welcome to St. Mary's College. I'm Beau Levesque.
And Kyle Rowley.
And as you can see, it's the 150th year of St. Mary's College of California. And so Kyle and I are about to show you around this beautiful campus. As you can see, it's not as big as most gyms, but what we lack for in size, we make up for in intensity. We got some of the most intense fans you'll see. So
one of the benefits of going to a smaller school is sort of, the kids that you see in class with you every day, are they in the stands supporting you. And the fact that the gym's a little bit smaller gives you more of like a home environment. You definitely get that home court feel.
I mean, you look up there and you see those banners, and all you really see is just years of hard work that our coaching staff and a multitude of players have put in. And like you look up there and I just see the Sweet 16 and some of those WCC tournament championships that I was fortunate enough to be a part of. And it's really something special.
You know, we've had a pretty strong international influence at St. Mary's. We have a strong Australian contingent, you know, from our assistant coach Adam Caporn all the way down to, you know, Matthew Dellavedova, Mitch Young, Jordan Page, Matt Hodgson, and guys who come in the past like Ben Allen. You know, those guys bring a sense of brotherhood and community to our program specifically, and, you know, they work hard. Right now we're walking past Madigan Gym. A little history about St. Mary's. Before McKeon Pavilion was constructed, Madigan was actually the place where all the games were held. That's where all the intramural sports actually take place. So from basketball to indoor soccer to volleyball, you can find all those things going on in Madigan.
Plus it provides a place for the general student body to work out, get some intramurals, but also, like Kyle said, some treadmills, some elliptical, stuff like that. So it's a nice place. All right, so now we're in Brousseau. It's our science building. It's actually one of the newer buildings on campus. It's a nice example of the good architecture at St. Mary's. It's a beautiful school.
One thing that's pretty common to the buildings around St. Mary's, you'll see the red brick roofs and, you know, the white buildings, sort of like old Spanish architecture. It's really cool to look at.
So as you can see, St. Mary's is a beautiful campus. It's pretty isolated, but that provides you with a nice little small campus feel. One of the things that sold me on St. Mary's was the intimate class sizes. Here you don't have any classes bigger than 20 or 25, and there's some classes that are 10 to 15, and so you really get a one-on-one relationship with your teacher, which makes them hold you accountable, so you hold yourself accountable to doing your work, and I don't know, I really like that small class feel.
Now we're in Oliver Hall, more affectionately known as the CAF or Saga. And in between classes is where you're going to find students, you know, packed, whether they're coming in to get a quick bite to eat or, you know, getting homework and stuff done in between classes.
If you had to pinpoint like, the center of the St. Mary's community, it'd probably be this place, Oliver Hall. And one good thing about it is you walk through the CAF, and after you've been here for 4 years, you have all these different classes, meeting all these different people. You honestly feel like you know almost every person at this school. And so it really provides St. Mary's with a unique aspect that a lot of schools don't have. So right now we're standing in front of the statue of St. John Baptist de La Salle, and just driving into campus, you get a glimpse of the beauty of St. Mary's.
One of the more unique things about St. Mary's, and more specifically like the LaSallian tradition, is that the focus is more so on your development as a person as a whole, and not just from an educational standpoint.
Driving into campus, the first thing you see is this beautiful baseball field, so it really brings out the fact that we are a campus that focuses on academics, but we also have beautiful athletics facilities as well.
And to the right is going to be the home of our new rec center. It's a $30 million project that'll encompass, you know, swimming pools, state-of-the-art machinery as far as ellipticals, bikes, treadmills, you know, everything for our student body. The project should be finished in 2014. Thanks for joining us on our tour of St. Mary's College. We hope we've given you a little bit of insight on what life is like on campus. Go Gales!
And just a reminder, we'll see more of these campus features all year long, so tune in to see more about your team and the West Coast Conference. Take a look at the schedule on Time Warner Cable SportsNet. It's really announced next week. BYU Santa Clara, just a terrific game. Loyola coming back up here to the Bay Area, do battle on the hilltop with USF. Santa Clara down at San Diego. San Diego tough at home. That's the thing in this conference. USF and Pepperdine. Then we'll be up in Portland for Pepperdine. Gonzaga coming down to play at USF. The Dons beat them there last year. Santa Clara and Portland. And then we end our season with Portland visiting Gonzaga, and that is no small task. Dan and I will be right back with more. We'll preview the game that we have coming up here in St. Mary's right after this. We welcome you back to McKean Pavilion. We are on the campus of St. Mary's College here in Moraga, California. This is the WCC This Week, and as anticipated, always a sellout crowd here at St. Mary's, and a great crowd, as a couple of those players pointed out. St. Mary's, of course, they're the defending champions in the West Coast Conference, finally getting over the hump, beating Gonzaga in a thrilling game in the final last year in the tournament, played down at the Orleans Hotel in Las Vegas.
And there, Barry, you take a look at Dellavedova making some perimeter shots and driving all the way to the goal. So, you know, St. Mary's, who, by the way, won the regular season and won the conference tournament. So, what a year for the Gales.
Yeah, great year for the Gales. They're going to be very tough again this year. Here are the conference standings right now. As you said, Gonzaga ranked number 10 in the country. They are 14 up, just 1 down, undefeated in their 1 game, having won their opener. Santa Clara 1-0 in a tough first conference game, but 12-3 overall. Played at Duke and actually played it pretty tough.
Yeah, they did play him tough, and great to see Kerry Keating's team playing well. Trasolini now playing, and I mean, they've got a good ball club, and USF gave them a heck of a game, and Santa Clara pulled it out to get their conference win. So you look up and down the conference, Barry, and you know what Max Good said is correct. You'd better win your home games, because every time you lose a home game, you got to win. You got to win a couple on the road, and winning a couple on the road in this league is going to be tough.
No, that's right. And the simple fact about these two teams, they both struggled recently. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Most of them have won, but they've struggled a little bit. Let's take a look at LMU and just take a glance at what's up for them. They're 7 up, 7 down this year, coming off a 21-13 season last year. There's real international flavor, not only on Loyola Marymount, but also on St. Mary's. We have 8 international players in this game.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. We've got 8 international players from all over the world. So it's going to be fantastic. And you look at Max Good, who was the West Coast Conference Coach of the Year last year. Don't forget one thing about Loyola: 7-1 on the road last year. They beat St. Mary's here. The only loss the Gales had here all year. So see if Loyola's ready.
All right, I think so too. So as we said, both these teams have struggled just a little bit lately. A close win here for St. Mary's against Harvard, and they didn't shoot the ball very well in that game. Take a look at what's on tap for the conference this evening. Gonzaga is going to be at Santa Clara, and you know that's no box of chocolates.
No, it's not. Should be a heck of a game. Portland, Pepperdine, and of course BYU, who's coming off the big win against Loyola, has to go on the road now and play San Francisco. So that should be a good one also.
Yeah, San Francisco looking for a little bit of bounce back too. They've struggled of late. Portland trying to get a win on the road at Pepperdine, and that's the tough thing in this conference: winning on the road. Bottom line, hold serve at home, get what you can on the road. That's the key to success in the West Coast Conference. Just about game time. Tip-off coming up. Thanks for watching the WCC This Week.